Welcome, everybody, to our weekly podcast, the REDX Podcast. So happy to have you here, regardless of what platform you are joining us on, whether it's Facebook or YouTube, or you logged in any of the many places that we broadcast the podcast. Welcome. We're glad you're here. We want you to be able to participate, jump in, add comments. Our team will be on answering as many comments. But more importantly, anytime that we talk about a website or we have resources, that we'll make sure that we're putting those links into the comments. So make sure that you're hanging out and paying attention. I'm really excited about today. Today's guest is a longtime friend and influencer in our community and industry. He is the current, I wrote down some awards here. He recently won the Innovative Use of AI, an Inman Award. It's the only coaching company that I know about that is jumping into the AI a whole bunch. So maybe we'll touch on that. But he's also won the 6 years in a row, the influencer, one of the top influencers in our industry. So, but more importantly than that, he's been a longtime partner of REDX. We've worked a lot together. We've done a lot. And so just want to welcome with us, Darryl Davis.
How you doing?
Darryl, what did I miss? Come to the brag table a little bit. You're a little humble about your accomplishments, but if somebody's living under a rock, and they don't know who you are, will you tell them a little bit about you and your power agents and everything you're doing right now?
Sure. I'm very charismatic, good looking, sweet guy, married to a wonderful angel, and humble. Other than that, I've written several books, and I've been, more than half my life has been eating, sleeping, drinking real estate, either as an agent doing 6 transactions a month. I love some of our colleagues, the real estate coaches, but some of them, I find it interesting. They never even listed and sold. God bless them, though. They're very powerful guys and gals. But anyway, 6 transactions a month, managed the #1 office in Long Island. I met this guy by the name of Floyd Wickman, took me under his belt, under his wing. Boy, that came out totally. Why did I say belt? That's so wrong. So it took me under his wing and taught me how to train agents. Because, speaking and training are 2 different things, Curtis. I know you know this. You can be a great speaker. It doesn't mean you're a great trainer, and vice versa. So Floyd, there's a handful that in our industry that are both speakers and trainers. Floyd Wickman obviously was one. He taught me how to be that. Anyway, so that's just a little background. But we've been coach, a best-selling author with How to Become Power Agent Real Estate, and we have our coaching program, and our power agents double their production over the previous year on average. So anyway, that's a little bit about me and all that good stuff. So,
well, we're glad to have you here and to share some knowledge. So people who are listening, again, make sure that you are paying attention and participate. Take some notes here. Today's topic, I think, is skills.
Yes.
So, I would say it's still a crazy market for most people. They're still waiting for something to happen. I don't know if you feel the same way. I think for us who serve real estate agents might even be a little frustrating. Where say you got to take action, you got to do something. You can't keep waiting around for something to happen. But again, I think they need a place to start, and sometimes they need the skill to go and do stuff. So why don't we jump in there, Darryl? And
it's unfortunate, Curtis, that right now there's probably 2 groups of agents. There's the agents that are still wondering how to settle in on this new reality that we're in, and they're confused, and they're calling, like buyers agents are calling listing agents asking how much fee they're paying out. So there's that group that don't understand the new reality we're in. And that's really mostly because they're not getting the support or training that they need. And then there's the group that is all in on, they're way past the settlement. They've already restructured their business and they're doing better because of it. And I'm a little bit in a bubble because our power agents, we do our coaching with our students every Monday and Wednesday. And I hear from them their frustration of the agents that are not trained or educated. My power agents, we've been talking about putting changes in a year before the settlement came into effect. So when the settlement happened, my power agents hit the ground running. They're all great. So I guess my point in sharing that is anybody that's listening or watching, you may be in a situation where you don't have the support or the training and you need to get it, and doesn't have to be with me, any speaker or trainer. REDX has great training as well when it comes to the prospecting aspect of it. So yes, this is the year of the skilled agent, Curtis. This is agents have to step up and get skilled, and so back to basics kind of thing.
Well, let's jump in and start there. I definitely agree with you. I think that we had the luxury of sitting through several years where you could get your license and make enough, and that's not happening. And it's not just real estate. This happens in any industry. When things get tough or the industry contracts, the people who know what they're doing and what they're offering in the unique selling proposition, they start to take more market share from the people who, don't really have the skill set. So how do agents then make sure, where do they start with the skill to make sure that they're not the ones that are going to end up looking for a W-2 job here soon?
First of all, it's there. Something that you just brought up, which is really powerful, is that, you didn't quite say it this way, but I got from what you were sharing that when an agent is not skilled, they're distracted from that because of that. Like their mental energy is being focused on answering these questions that they're confused about. How do I find out if I'm getting paid? And when I'm on the buyer side, what kind of commission should I be asking the homeowner on a listing appointment? All those things. But when you don't have those questions and your mind is not overwhelmed with confusion and questions, now you have the resource of thinking to be put into your business productively, moving forward. So the analogy I like to use, and actually my mentor taught me this, Mac, my broker when I was an agent, and which, by the way, I'm interviewing him this week to get it in the can. So this is the guy that taught me everything about real estate. Like everything I teach, Curtis, comes from Mac, my mentor. So he's 81 years old now, and he's he likes to say like life is chapters, and he's in the 8th chapter of his 10-chapter book.
Yeah.
So I want to get him in the can. I'm very excited about this. It's major to interview him. And anyway, so Mac used to say to me that real estate is like a ballerina, that if you are a ballerina and you are on the stage thinking about how to move your feet, thinking on how to position your feet, then you're going to screw up. The dance is not beautiful because you're trying to do the dance. Now, when you've mastered dancing, when you've mastered being a ballerina and you hit the stage, you're not doing dancing, you're being the dance. You don't have to think, you instinctively are the dance. And so you can now really enjoy, and it can be fluid and it can be beautiful, artistic. And a lot of agents are doing real estate because they haven't mastered how to dance. They haven't mastered the dance moves. They haven't mastered what it takes to be a professional in this business. And it's a formula, it's a recipe. It's not like, so when I created our training, I sat down and wrote out what are the skill sets that an agent needs in order to master real estate. and I'll share those if you want. But when I'll give you another analogy. You know, April, my wife, you know her, and she used to be a pastry chef before she got into real estate, and now is my wife. So that's a full-time job. She doesn't have time to do nothing else because I am such high maintenance. I'm not even
going to respond to that because you know.
Well, I'm high maintenance with her because she literally is my consigliere. She is the smartest woman that I have ever met in my life. And so I lean on her for counseling. I really do. So anyway, and it seems like I just need counseling several times a day, unfortunately, for her. But she told me that when you learn to be a chef, there's certain classes that you have to take. And so, for example, there's a class, I didn't know this, on knives, just like knives. Like I would never think that there's a class on knives. Like, well, there's different knives for different, purposes. So I started looking at it, and if you want to learn how to be a chef, you have to learn sauces. There's different sauces that do different things. You have to learn about different cooking methods. There's frying, there's steaming, then there's dairy. Dairy is an actual class because dairy, eggs, all that stuff is such an important ingredient in all cooking.
Yeah,
that you have to learn those. So anyway, I said, wow, that's really fascinating. So it's the same concept. In real estate, the recipes to success are managing your time, how to do the listing appointment, how to prospect, how to negotiate offers, how to self-promote yourself. So anyway, I sat down and I wrote out all of these classes, if you will, or recipes or skill sets that an agent needs. And if they master each one of those, they've mastered real estate. And same thing in dancing, in show business, playing the piano. There's, I think 12, forgive me for anybody who plays the piano. I think there's 12 major chords that one must learn. And because those 12 are the foundation to all music. So if you know those 12 chords, you are on your road to mastering playing the piano or playing any instrument for that matter.
Right.
So, yeah, so that's, anyway, I'll stop talking now.
No, I don't think you need to stop talking. I want to dive into one of those. I think, we obviously don't have time to go into all of those things. So I guess the question for you is, if I'm an agent and I'm listening to this and I put myself in this, I'm definitely doing and not being. I'm definitely thinking about. I'm waking up in the morning going, okay, what am I doing today?
Mm-hmm.
And we pull in a lot. In fact, people in the comments put in there if you don't know where your next deal is going to come from, and if you're embarrassed, you don't have to put anything. But we pull that a lot, and it's usually 50% or more are saying I have no idea where my next deal is going to come from, and so. People are if they find themselves in the space, 50% of the people listening right now, and we're telling them this at this point, 12 minutes in, they're gone. It feels a little overwhelming. So where does an agent start to make sure that they're on the path? Because you don't create mastery overnight.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the most important thing for them to master first? What is the most important skill set you think that they need to master first? So that they have an idea of like, okay, I'm going to go do this.
Well, I'll answer it this way. The number one, what do you think, Curtis? The number one job responsibility is for an attorney? Number one. Take a guess. You're going to guess wrong, so I'll fix you in a second.
I was going to say to make their clients feel safe and secure, maybe.
Awesome. Wrong. It's to get business.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
Because if they have no clients,
they can't do that.
Law.
Yeah. All right.
Wait a second. I got another one for you. What's the number one job of an accountant?
Yeah, I'm gonna guess get business.
Very good. We're on the same page now.
Yep.
I can go through every profession, every business, a shoe store, a furniture store, car dealership. I don't care. Every single business, don't matter or profession, is to generate business. Otherwise, you ain't doing business.
Right.
So prospecting is the number one thing that an agent needs to do, and it's the number one thing that they don't do.
Well, I love this. There's a book, and I hope I get the book right. So I'm like 90% sure it's the book called Ready, Fire, Aim. And it goes through what your focus should be on different stages of your business. And what I remember most is the beginning of what you're talking about. And it's not a real estate book, but it's talking about, salespeople, especially go and they think they need a business card, and they go, well, who are you going to give a business card to? Why are you worried about a business card? You don't have anybody to give one to yet. So that's not what you should be worried about, or where you should be spending your time. And so outside of real estate, we call it sales. For some reason, inside real estate, we call it different things, but prospecting, and even now people are so afraid of the word prospecting. Now everybody calls it lead generating. It's your lead generating time. And which is sad, because prospecting to me is such a great visual of a prospector. That's you have to go find the gold. And sometimes that's work. Sometimes you gotta sift through dirt, and you got to do the work to find the gold. So
I'll tell you what we tell our power agents. You see, our power. So, our power agent avatar. The agents who sign up for our coaching, which is only a ridiculous price, but I won't get into any of that now. But anyway, it's very low. But the most of our agents are not high end producers. They'll go to some of my colleagues, the high end producers. I'm not saying we don't have high end producers, but the majority of our avatar, the agents are not that, and they're struggling, right? So when I coach them, you try to use the language that I think works for them, right? And because prospecting is a dirty word for most, because they don't have fear has them. I tell them, just don't prospect. Go build relationships with other human beings. And so that's the mentality we have. It's about, and it's the same thing, but I think the reason why most don't like the word prospecting is it feels like salesman-y closing people. And most agents, I think, regardless of their production level, they don't get into real estate to be top producer. There are some that are driven by money and success and all that. And that's good. That's what works for them. But I believe the majority really just enjoy real estate, and they enjoy serving people, and they enjoy helping and making a difference. And they use real estate as the platform to express their commitment to make a difference in the world. And we know how important real estate is to the quality of people's lives. So, which is awesome. So I tell agents, don't prospect, just build relationships with new people. Get out there and talk to people, whatever works for you. So, yeah. No, and by the way, you're right. It is Ready, Fire, Aim is that I looked it up to help you out.
Yeah. Right. Well, so if I'm going to build relationships, and I've said it very similarly, is real estate. It's all about talking and meeting people you don't know, so that you can get to know them, so that when they're ready to do something in real estate, you have a relationship with them, and they trust you enough to help them in that endeavor. So you have to talk to a whole bunch of people. So where do people start with that? I mean, what is the skill then that they need in order to do that?
So that's great. So it depends on the source of the conversation. Like if they're calling a for sale by owner, for example, which is my strength, that's going to be a different approach. Perhaps it's going to be a different approach than calling expired. which is going to be different from when you bump into somebody out at the store in your local town or when you're door knocking. So anyway, we give our power agents a list of 100, let's use lead generation platform or areas that they can generate leads. And what I tell them, there's no right one to use. It's the one that you're going to do. So it's important, right? So like I'm a fan of FSBOs and expires, but I tell power agents, listen, if you're not able or willing to have a breakthrough there, then don't do that. What's important is that you do the thing that you enjoy doing, because then you'll do it and you'll do it often. If you don't enjoy it, you don't like it, you ain't going to do it. Now, the exception to that, and this is real important, I do believe, regardless of what an agent decides to do, they should call FSBOs and expireds at least for 60, 90 days. And the reason why is not for the listings that they may get, not for the money that they may get to feed their family. They should do it for one very simple reason: because they don't want to. And the reason why that's important, Curtis, is because you've heard this expression that heard this concept, or that when you lose one of your 5 senses, like let's say your eyesight, God forbid, then your other senses get heightened to compensate. Okay. Right. In real estate, when you're showing houses or you're talking to somebody in person, a listing point, whatever, you've got all 5 senses at your disposal. You have your good looks, you have your charm, you have your language, you have your muscle, your facial expressions. That is actually scientifically important in communication. So you've got everything going for you. But now with the telephone, you don't have some of those things. You don't have somebody seeing your facial expressions, which I'm not going to get into the science. You know, I wrote a book on this, on how important your facial muscles are in communicating. Okay, so you don't have that. You don't have your charm or charisma. You don't have the whole package, the visual and the beingness, the connection when you're across from somebody in person. Like you and I see each other, we basically have all 5 senses except for our smell going here. But even you and I having this conversation, if we were sitting in person, it would be totally different.
Right.
There's a sense that gets delivered. So when you're on the telephone, you have all of these senses not there for you. So the only thing that you have at your disposal is your words, your language, your voice inflection.
Yeah.
So what happens if you show me an agent who can call a complete stranger that doesn't want to work with an agent, i.e. a FSBO, and you have that conversation, it trains you to get better at the words that you use, your voice inflection, even how you use pauses or not use pauses. So it's kind of like, I'm not into working out, but when I try, because I watch.
You have run a marathon.
Yes, I've ran 4 marathons, but who's counting? But yes, and I hated every single time doing it, but it was to raise money for leukemia, and that's what we did. But anyway, when you're training, from what I've seen on television and QVC, they sell you those weights that you can put on your legs.
Right.
All right. Why do they do that? Because in the training, now you run the marathon, you take those weights off, you're going to feel like you're floating. It's that same concept when an agent can break through. So there's several things here. Number one is when they can break through. Oh, okay, let me finish the other part. When they can learn how to master language on a telephone, everything else becomes better and easier when you're talking to buyers, when you're in front of a homeowner on a listing appointment. So it trains you to master language. The second thing that it does is that when you break through fear, which is the number one reason why people don't pick up the phone, my God, the breakthrough that happens for the individual agent when they no longer have fear holding them back in their profession, it permeates their entire career.
Yeah.
See, some agents, they'll walk into a listing appointment and secure because, they got a referral or somebody called in, like they don't feel like they really earned the appointment. And so they walk in with this insecurity. But if you have an agent who's prospecting, calling FSBOs, overcoming that fear, they kind of strut into the listing because, like, you know what, whether I get it or not, I friggin' deserve to be here because I paid the dues, because I did something that I don't want to, I hate to do, I earned it.
Yeah.
So anyway, you can see I'm a little passionate about this.
No, well, and I think if people aren't following along, we started with the analogy of the ballerina, and I think what you're saying is look, you don't have to choose. Yeah, in my 20 years experience in working with people who prospect, on the phone primarily, amongst other things that we now offer, but is that they often feel like they have to make a choice that they're going to be a phone prospector, that they've got to be that person. And it's almost like this long-term choice that people are making. And they go, I don't want to do that. Nobody wants to do that. No,
right.
Even the guys who choose to do that, they don't want to do that. And what I love about what you're saying is, hey, if you don't want to think about the words and think about your tonality, one of the best ways that you can learn that skill is to have, if 60, 90 days, how many conversations are people going to have in 60 to 90 days? Like you said.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hundreds and hundreds, thousands, maybe. And if they're having that many conversations, that's the muscle memory of the dance. So that when they show up, they can dance.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too about when you're prospect, I mean, you just made me think of something else about the telephone is, before I say that, I'm going to say one other thing. The agents that are struggling, part of why they're struggling is because they feel like they got to learn it before they do it. Whatever it is, I need to learn how to do the listing appointment before I actually go on a listing appointment. I need to learn how to master the telephone before I actually call a real person. I need to get my website up and running before I actually start trying to prospect, right? And and goes on and on and on. So there's a lot of learning in order to get ready, in order to actually do it. And then, of course, what happens, they never do it. So what I tell agents is that you just the best way to learn is to do it. And screw up. Warren Buffett taught me this. He says, success is the worst teacher. You only learn from your mistakes. You can't, if my son and I, when my son was young, I bought a baby grand piano for the house, and I wanted him to learn how to play the piano, which unfortunately, that's one of those things that didn't stick. So I still got the darn piano. I had to attach a music player to it, so at least I get some friggin' use out of the thing. But anyway, so what I decided to take piano lessons with him, only just to have it be something that we would do together. And so if I had an instructor tell me, Darryl, here's the keys, here's what the letters are. Here's the science behind how a piano works, the keys and the strings. And if I learned the science of the piano, and I learned all the keys of the piano, and I learned how to read it, but I never touched the piano, it's not going to make any difference. I'm not going to know how to play the piano.
That's right.
The only way I'm going to learn how to play the piano is I got to start pressing the keys, period. And most importantly, give myself permission to make mistakes. See, if you approach the piano like you're afraid that you're going to make a mistake, your fingers crank up, you're not it doesn't work. So you've got to let go and just be comfortable and say, you know what? Be okay with making mistakes. Just press the keys. The keys are not going to sting you. It's not connected to the electricity, or I'm going to get electrified. No, just press the darn keys and start playing. And that's what agents have to do. They have to just start and screw up. Like, don't practice calling a FSBO. Just call the damn FSBO. The first call, hang up on them. Let them see how it feels. And that'll get you going a little bit. Then make another call and you'll screw that one up. That's fine. You're never going to see these people. And they're not going to remember you because they're probably fighting with the spouse and they got other issues. They don't care about you. So keep going. Just keep going. And eventually what starts to happen is you get better. Yeah. And when you get better, then you start having fun. And then when you start having fun, you don't walk into listings you struck because you earned it to be there.
Yeah. There's something that helped me. I don't always do this, but this is the second time I'm bringing up a book. This one is called Punch Fear in the Face and Start.
I do want to point out that you haven't mentioned my books, so I'm a little offended by this, that you're recommending everybody else's the book. And how I've written 3, everybody listen to me. I've written 3. There's Darryl Davis on Amazon. You'll find the 3.
Smile.
No, shut up. You can't make it up now. You screwed up. So tell me about the second book, please.
Punch Fear in the Face. So in that book, he's referencing a psychologist that works with professional musicians and people that you would think have it all and their life together. And he said, in thousands of patients, I've never met anybody who has a positive internal voice. And he said your internal voice will tell you one of 2 things. It will tell you can't, or you have to do it 100%. And what happens is then you people commit and they go, I'm all in, and think of like weight loss in January. Like, I'm all in. They buy the gym membership, they buy all the new food, they have all of these ingredients, they download all the apps, and by what did they say? January 14th is National Give Up Day or something like that.
That late? I thought it was on the 2nd.
But what happens is the internal voice is like, I'm all in, I've got to do it 100%. And then what happens is when you make that little mistake, that internal voice says, see, I knew you couldn't.
Right.
And then we revert back to I can't, so you don't. And the whole point there, I think, plays exactly what you're saying is some is better than none. You don't have to commit to 3 hours a day or you're a failure. Get on the phone and makes a few phone calls and then go breathe into a bag for 10 minutes so that you can get calm.
Do commit to what you can do, but as long as you're starting something. You brought up the marathon things, and in all seriousness, for people who don't know me, I am not into working out at all. My idea of a good workout is I fill up the bathtub, I pull the plug, and I fight the current. But I did it because I was passionate about trying to save children's lives that were suffering from leukemia. So I did it as a fundraiser. And but because I'm not athletic, I'm not just not athletic, I just hate it. And so for me to push past that, what I had to do, my first step was to just get used to getting up 2 hours earlier than what I was used to doing. Like, to me, that was the first step.
Yeah.
So I would get up 2 hours early, get dressed, put the sneakers on, the shorts, do the stretching, get my music ready. And that was it. I didn't even run the first few days. It was just getting up. The accomplishment for me was just getting up early. And once I no longer had that struggle, which it was like, all right, well, I'm already dressed and stretched, I might as well run something. So I would do like a 0.1 or a 0.2, and then eventually, 26.2 miles. But I'll tell you this, there was one time, this was the other breakthrough for me on this. What I did, Curtis, I didn't know how far 26.2 miles is. Like, who pays attention unless you're a runner, right? So when I signed up to do the fundraising and run the New York City Marathon, I said, let me see how long 26.2 miles is. So I drove that. Well, do you know how long that is? It's
you get shit splints if you're driving a clutch right there. That's a long way.
Oh my God. So when I drove that the first time, Curtis, I swear, this is what I said. There's no way I'm going to do this. I don't know how this is going to happen. What did I do here? So when I did start running, I said I had to fool myself. So instead of staring at 26.2 miles, see, agents are like this. I'm coming to a point here. I'll start sharing now. is that we look at where we are in our careers today. We look at where we want to be. And for most agents, when they see that, they focus on the gap. They don't focus on the goal. They focus on the gap of what they don't have, the skill they don't have, and how impossible this is going to be. So what I did was, Curtis, I tricked myself. I said, all right, forget the 26 point. I'm just going to run to the next crack in the sidewalk over here. I can get to the crack. It's only 10 feet. And when I got to the crack, I says, all right, let me get to that bush over there, and I'll run to the bush. And then I get to the fire. So inch by inch, life's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard. Yeah. So what an agent needs to do is start small and get used to that. And how you do that is commit to the activity, not to the result. So it's just like a diet. If we focus on that scale, we're going to get discouraged. But if you focus every day, we're eating the right things at the right time, eventually it's going to stick. So my advice for anybody who wants to take the suggestion of the skill set of prospecting is just do like an hour a day for, 4 or 5 days a week. Now, what'll happen in the first couple of days, your hour, most of it's going to be spent on procrastinating and getting ready to prospect. You'll get your laptop up and you check the ding. Like you'll probably do anything but actually dial the first few days. And that's fine as long as you're honestly getting ready to do it. Eventually you're going to say, I can't do this anymore. Let me pick up the phone, try one call. But at least if you do that, and what'll happen after a couple of weeks, hopefully shorter, you'll actually be making a good amount of calls in that whole hour. Yeah. Now, what would happen to an agent's career if they spoke to people 1 hour a day, 5 days a week? 5 days a week, 5 hours, that's 20 hours in a month. And let's say every hour generated you one appointment. I mean, hopefully it'll be a hell of a lot more, but let's go really worse. Because like I said, inch by inch, let's go small. If you only got one appointment an hour, every hour, 5 hours, 20 in a month, that's 20 listing appointments. How many listings might you get out of 20 listing appointments? Geez, if you only got 1 or 2, which you probably should get 10, but even if you only got 1, that's probably more than what you had before. And eventually you'll start to do more. You'll do 2, you'll do 10. Anyway, that's how you do it.
Well, I love it. I think, I think people should be paying attention. I did have a question. If I'm going to commit to the activity of making calls and talking to people that I don't know, am I committing to a time frame or a number of conversations?
Yeah, I say time frame, because if you do conversations and you say, all right, I'm going to speak to 5 people today, if you're an hour into it and you've only spoken to 2, you're going to be like, I got things, I can't keep doing this. And now you're going to get frustrated with the process and you're going to throw the baby out with the bathwater and not do it ever again. So an hour will always be an hour, no matter how many calls or accomplishments you get. So you can schedule your life. So that's why I like the time thing.
The time frame. Okay. And then my other question is, it seems like above the skill of prospecting, and this maybe we'll wrap it up because I wish we had more time to go through all of it, but above this skill of prospecting and perfecting your words and building confidence and all the benefits of what you've explained, seems like the skill above that is that of discipline to commit, I don't know if it's a skill of commitment or a skill of discipline, or maybe we're mincing words. It's kind of the same thing, but speak to the agents about that a little bit, about how can they get into the mindset of saying and making that commitment.
Yeah. So to me, it's not discipline, it's commitment. Commitment shapes the discipline. The commitment causes the discipline. So, the best example is you're a father like me, and any parent listening to this, they can totally understand that the commitment we have, if you're a good parent, I mean, there's some bad parents out there. If you're a good parent, you have a commitment to your child that, you'll move mountains for your kids. You'll
Yeah.
do things you wouldn't otherwise. But the commitment to our children is so clear and great that it manages our life. Like if your kid needs to be picked up at school by you at 2:35, there's no way you're going to not have time to do that. Something's going to come up. Like you're so committed to your child at 2:30, your life evolves around 2:30.
Right. Yep.
Right. So that comes first. So the same is true about real estate. When you are crystal clear about what your commitment is, then everything will align behind that. John F. Kennedy said that the reasonable man adapts he looks at his circumstances and then makes the commitment. The unreasonable man makes the commitment first and has all the circumstances adjust to the commitment. All progress depends on the unreasonable man. So to make a commitment to something when there's no evidence, there's no validation, there's no maybe history, like to just cast out a commitment to something that you're passionate about is extraordinary. And if you look at any successful business person, you look at the tech world, whether it's Bill Gates or even Elon Musk, people I shouldn't probably bring him into this conversation, but he's very visible right now. He's crazy, like, but he's crazy, like committed wise. Like when he's committed to something, like him sleeping on the factory floor when he started his Tesla thing. So successful people are number one committed, passionately crazy committed. So anyway, to finish up on that, what an agent needs to do is be clear about what they're committed to. And some of them have lost that. Like when they got into real estate and they're getting ready to get into real estate, they had some clarity, right? They probably were more excited and passionate about real estate, more so when they were studying to get licensed, because they had this commitment of what real estate was going to be for them. It was going to give them financial freedom, having their own business, whatever it is. That commitment was, they woke up in the morning living from that commitment of becoming a real estate professional. And then once they got the license, it kind of shifts for some of them. For some, it turns into they're committed to paying their bills. And that's not a powerful commitment to have, because that one actually suggests you don't have money and it drains you, right? So you've got to have something that you're passionate about, and real estate success is going to help you get to that commitment.
Love it.
Listen, my team, I'll tell you something about braggadocious about my company is that anybody that's in our coaching, there's one, like 100%, all of our coaching members will say they love the Smile Squad. Now, the Smile Squad is my staff. And the reason why we call the Smile Squad is because our company mission is to help agents design careers worth smiling about. So that's our slogan. And the reason why they love Julie and Sarah and Danielle and my whole team is because every single person on the Smile Squad of my company is committed to making a difference with real estate agents, because our coaching, not real estate agents, I'm sorry, with our power agents. Right. Because if we can help the power agents, because every agent that's in our coaching, it's not just about them. See, that agent probably has a family. And that agent is dealing with buyers and sellers. And we know if we can get the power agent feeling good about themselves, good about their business, and they're financially successful, that takes some of the stress away from the spouse and from their kids and from their buyers and sellers. So we are committed to making a difference, not just with our power agents, but everybody that they touch. And that's why my team is so loved by the power agents, because they see the commitment that we are, you see. And when you're clear about what your commitment is, you don't have to tell people. You see it. You see it in Elon Musk or Bill Gates or any other successful person, you fill in the blank. They don't have to tell you. You see who they are. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, Darryl, I think that people are left wanting, which you know we had all the time. But where do they go to learn more? Where do they go to learn more about the Power Agent program, and where they can learn all of these skills and the formula recipe that you talked about?
Sure. So if they go to, we have a special we're running, and I think our membership is $67 a month on the special pricing. It's normally $197, but if they go to becomeapoweragent.com, they will see that. Now, my website is darrylspeaks.com. So you see how Darryl is spelled on the screen. So darrylspeaks.com, one word. And so people can find me there and other stuff. So,
okay. Well, everybody, thank you so much. If you can always reach out to us for more information, we can get you in touch with Darryl. Otherwise, becomeapoweragent.com or darrylspeaks.com. Darryl, thank you so much for your time, for your influence, for the analogies. And for those of you that are watching, make sure you download this, that you take the notes. We're here every Thursday at 1 o'clock Mountain Time. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.